This is KC Sports Tonight.
And welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon to you from KC Sports Tonight. Scott Reiss hanging here in the KCTV5 studios. And Jared Koller is the man on the scene. He is wearing headphones. He is in St. Joe because our favorite football team, or at least part of our favorite football team, reported to training camp today. So, Jared, I'll let you set the scene and explain the whole headphone thing, because it's a little odd.
Oh, well, it may seem like, if you know me, that I'm listening to Taylor Swift right now on the occasion. Unfortunately, I'm not. Instead, I'm listening to Scott Reiss talk, which, no offense, Scott, a little bit of a downgrade, so maybe I'll listen to some Taylor Swift on the way home. No, I don't have a working IFB, so you're stuck with this today. Sorry, friends. But the good news is there's a lot going on today, Scott, because there's not just the All-Star game coming off a home run derby. There's not just Mizzou at the SEC Media Days. We've got one of the most important sports days of the year here in Kansas City. I'm serious. Chiefs Report Day is the start of football season. There's something to get fired up to it for about the next 7 months. So hence, I'm fired up. I'm here at Missouri Western. I don't know if you can see it right now, but we got the Missouri Western football team behind me. They're running some drills. Pretty cool for this university, I think, to share campus with the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, and that's what's going to happen over the next month. Quarterbacks report today. Rookies and coaches, they are all here. I've confirmed it with my two eyes. They don't see so good, but they see a big red and Hawaiian shirt, and they see a really cool man named Patrick Mahomes.
So, first of all, clearly you have not heard my rendition of Anti-Hero. Second of all, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid spoke today. Anybody else talk, or was it just the two heavyweights?
No, just, those two.
So, even without hearing all of the sound, I can probably dictate exactly what they said. But since you did hear it, maybe you can give us a sense of, just kind of the mood and the, back to the grind. We take nothing for granted. Last year was last year kind of mentality today.
Well, the way you set that up, Scott, I kind of want to hear what you predict to see how close you are. If you think you know what they said, I guess you alluded to it there. But no, I mean, sure, there was that. I think the thing that sticks out to me every year, because let's see, the first report day that I covered here was 2016 for KCTV5, and I think if I compared that training camp to this day, for so many years is about hey. Win the division, get to the playoffs, win a playoff game, whatever. Scott, it is July, whatever today is, 16th. And the theme is Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Like, that's all Patrick Mahomes cares about. That is so far away in the rearview mirror and in the future, but for this team, that's genuinely what they're motivated by. And I know that's not breaking news, but to hear it in this setting in July, talk about, it's like, yeah, if we don't win the Super Bowl, that's going to really suck. Like, that's the expectation. That's literally what Patrick Mahomes said today. When you win the Super Bowl as many times as he has, and he knows also the feeling when they don't win the Super Bowl, and he says that sucks because you know how it feels to win it. And he is almost more motivated by not wanting to feel that heartbreak. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's most interesting to me, and he said quotes along those lines today. Sticking with Patrick Mahomes, the breaking news is that for the first time in his NFL career, he brought a TV to training camp. For college football, the video game 25 EA Sports that just came out. I had to watch the Royals. He had a nice soundbite on Bobby Witt Jr. So those two were a little bit different. But yeah. Oh, he also said that he's stopping at 3 kids. He just, he's now has a three-peat with his wife Brittany pregnant. That was the other breaking news. So I don't know if you would have predicted any of those storylines, Scott. We're breaking ground here in 2024.
So he wants more Super Bowl rings than children, basically, is what it boils down to.
That's the goal. Which, that's a good goal to have for
I agree. That's fine.
I think Phillip Rivers would have a tough climb to reach that goal, though.
Right, well, especially since it was 0 of the former. But I would argue you can't have too many Super Bowl rings, but you can have too many children. So I get it. I think that's fair.
Wow, Scott Reiss hates kids. Breaking news here on the stream. I didn't say that.
I'm happy. I'm happy with my 2. I did not need to go more than that. So part of the fun of Report Day is you get to watch all the rookies kind of scamper up the ramp, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Any, bunny slippers or crazy attachments or things that guys were lugging in with them to training camp? Anything good today?
No, I don't know of the timing of we were only allowed to shoot for a small period of time. We really didn't see hardly anyone walking in outside of Mahomes and Reed and a handful of coaches, but it was not anywhere near what veteran report day has been like a lot of years or past few years. We briefly saw Xavier Worthy leaving Scanlon Hall on a golf cart. He did that while Andy Reid was talking. So I can confirm that he's here and that he is by football man standards, a smaller man. So that stood out. But other than that, Hunter Norzad, offensive lineman out of Penn State, he was carrying like a flower, it looked like. But other than that, no, I don't have anything cool to report. I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's fair. You can only report what you see, and we'll see if Friday brings more color on that front. But, I'm glad you bring up Xavier Worthy because I don't know about you, but if I hear the word hamstring in the same sentence of Xavier Worthy after the very first question of this training camp, I'm going to be a little concerned. These are injuries that are debilitating when you're hurt, can't do anything with a hamstring. They tend to be lingering, they can be recurring. So I have no problem with the abundance of caution and holding him out of minicamp and that sort of thing if that's all it was. But if there's still any sort of issue heading into the season with the guy's hamstring who's supposed to be your burner, I don't know about you, but that would raise a tiny red flag for me, even in mid-July.
Yeah, well, that's a nice thing, one, about Hollywood Brown being in the system compared to last year where they were relying more on MVS if Rashee Rice struggled. Now, Rice came out of the gates and they did okay, but now, if for whatever reason, if he is the slower starter, you think you have more of a buffer. But no, Scott, you're absolutely right. You don't want that to be an issue. This is critical timing. I would say when asked about it today, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes might have been on a different page. Andy Reid said, hey, we'll kind of ease him into it. Injury-wise, like he said, Worthy will be ready to go, but, may play it a little safe. Patrick Mahomes had a quote of, no, there's no easing into it. So, obviously, I think Reid was talking more about the injury standpoint. Mahomes was talking about the expectation. But no, Patrick Mahomes said, it's go time now. You saw what we did to Rashee Rice last year where he was thrown up a couple days. He literally referenced that. He says, we're going to push guys to get ready for the regular season, and Xavier Worthy is not an exception. So, yeah, I think they maybe were okay with, missing some of that time back in Kansas City. But the expectation from at least Patrick Mahomes is that Xavier Worthy needs to hit the field and perform well if he wants to have an important role in this team in week 1 at least.
And we will find out a lot more tomorrow, right? Because everybody who's there will be out on the field, presumably. So if he's out there running routes and doing the same thing as everybody else, you have to assume he's good to go, or at least relatively good to go, correct?
Yeah, everybody that's here should be out there. Maybe Neil Jones will get out there and run some routes. And Neil Jones is currently at McDonald's right now, so you're stuck with me. But hey, Neil will be here. Maybe he'll give you some insight on Xavier Worthy tomorrow.
Neil Jones at McDonald's, not breaking news. As far as predictable sentences that may have come out of today, that one top of the list. Because I hear the McDonald's in St. Joe's way better than the ones that we have here closer to Kansas City.
That's an interesting take. When you talk about St. Joe food, I saw Jamal Charles at a St. Joe Cece's Pizza one year when I went up with my friends. I want to say that was maybe 2012 or so. I've eaten at a St. Joe Waffle House with friends. Outside of that, Neil is far more the St. Joe food expert. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes talked about it today. Like, the cool thing about coming up here for training camp is that these guys practice together, then they go eat lunch together,
right.
Then they go to meetings together, then they go to dinner together, whether that's on campus or out and about town. So, like, if you want a chance to see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the wild, their locations won't be reported, but they're probably going to be in the St. Joe vicinity, and so you maybe hit up some fine St. Joe establishments, restaurants-wise, and you got a shot at maybe seeing a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, and of course, this is the NFL immersion program training camp. These guys will be, they'll know each other's.
One of only 8 teams in the NFL that go away from Kansas City.
Yeah,
that number has really dwindled from, even a decade ago. But that's how Andy Reid likes it. He likes the players living in the the cinder block dorm rooms, and who knows, Scott? Maybe you say a few nice words. Maybe they'll let you in up here and have your own little dorm room. You can get a TV. You can watch some Royals baseball with the team. I don't know. You carry a big stick around here.
As long as I don't have to eat McDonald's with Neil Jones, you can sign me up. If I can watch TV with Mahomes and not eat Big Macs with Neil, I'm good to go. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
So let's talk about what we saw last night. We'll get to the All-Star game, obviously, which is the next big event here coming up in, about an hour and a half. But last night, man, what a show. That home run derby was awesome. It was one of the all-time classic derbies. I love the new rules. I think it was the perfect timing. And, oh, by the way, we had our local hero, Bobby Witt Jr., who just put in this sort of workmanlike effort in the first round and then in the semifinal, and he had a chance to tie it with one swing, and man, it would have been great to get a swing off between him and Teoscar Hernandez, but I don't think Royal fans could ask for much more than we saw last night.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say it was an all-time classic derby, because I don't have as good a perspective on that as you do. For me, it was, because that's the best a Royal has ever done. Like,
yeah, right. Well, by far.
To see Bobby Witt Jr. in that stage, yeah, exactly. And so to hear, someone with more national perspective like yourself, I think that is significant, because it really, Scott, was the most significant, impactful, stressful moment involving the Kansas City Royals since Game 5 of the 2015 World Series. I'm not kidding. I had multiple people text me that. I've seen tweets about that saying that's the most stressed they've been watching a Royals game since 2015. And is that fair? I don't know, but I think that is the perspective that a lot of fans have, because this was the most nationally relevant a Royals player has been since that time. Eric Hosmer 2016 All-Star MVP is what I would counter with. But winning the home run derby, this was, we're getting that close to. You got Michael Buffer introducing him out there.
Yeah, right.
It was so grand, and it just felt big. And we're used to seeing the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce on this kind of stage. Seeing a Royal on that stage was pretty surreal, because that's not supposed to happen in a sport like baseball, right? The Dodgers pay $1 bajillion. Okay, you see a Dodger in the home run derby, that's expected. To see a Royal be a legitimate bona fide superstar shining on that stage was pretty cool, and I hope Royals fans didn't take it for granted.
No, and it's hard to get where the Chiefs have gotten, obviously, because as a team you have to get to a level that few teams ever get to in professional sports. So to expect the Royals to approach that is lofty. Yeah. But that said, I think people got to get used to seeing Bobby Witt Jr. on the big stage, on the national stage. He is, in my opinion, next to Shohei Ohtani, who is a unicorn, right? He is the best player in baseball. I would call Bobby Witt Jr. right now the second best player in baseball. And he just turned 24 years old. And I don't think enough people on a national scale realize that whether he's the second or third or fourth best player, that he is without question one of the top 5 players in the game. I think last night maybe put him on the map, and now he's going to be one of those guys where the cameras follow him, where the expectations are there. Maybe some national endorsements follow. I think that this is a turning point in Bobby Witt Jr.'s career, and he's going to be on top of the baseball world for the next, 12, 14, 15 years.
Yeah, and I think not just nationally, Scott, I also think here in Kansas City, because let's be realistic. For the past handful of years, Royals baseball season has ended today. When the Chiefs report to training camp, this gets far more of the spotlight, far more people care about Chiefs training camp than Royals games. That's just how it's been. It's not how I've been, because I'm a baseball degenerate, but the majority of the fan base in Kansas City, they'll see the Royals score whatever. But I think last night was really important from a Kansas City standpoint, in that a lot of casual baseball fans, okay? The diehards, they see the numbers that Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players in baseball. He's got 5 tools, he hits home runs, he plays defense, steals bases. He's a stud at a young age, right? I don't know if everyone in Kansas City realized just how special Bobby Witt Jr. was, that he's legitimately in that scale. I think maybe they're like, oh, is this, Eric Hosmer? Is that, we've had good players here in Kansas City. No. I think last night showed a lot of casual baseball fans in Kansas City that, yeah, there's a superstar, there's multiple superstars at Arrowhead. No. There's a superstar at Kauffman Stadium as well. Yes. His name is Bobby Witt Jr. There's a fan favorite and a future Hall of Famer in Salvador Perez. We're talking about one of the best players of his generation in Bobby Witt Jr.
And that segues to the next Bobby Witt Jr. sighting, which will be tonight at the Midsummer Classic. I love the Baseball All-Star Game. One of my favorite things in sports, one of the things I look forward to every single year since I can't tell you how young, 6 or 7 years old, and now I share it with my 13-year-old who's also a baseball degenerate, is watching the introductions of the All-Star teams standing on both sidelines and tipping the cap and just running down all the great players in the game. I love that every single year. The game, far and away, in my opinion, better than any other professional sports All-Star game. Nothing comes close. And to have 4 Royals, including Bobby Witt Jr., representing Kansas City tonight just adds another layer of excitement. I'm really fired up for this game tonight.
Yep, and shout out Cody. It's interesting that you say that because I think I enjoyed the All-Star Game most at that age as well, mainly because, Scott, growing up, that was pretty much the only time all year that I felt Kansas City was on the national stage. SportsCenter wasn't showing hardly any Royals highlights, and they weren't showing many Chiefs highlights, all right, for a large part of my childhood. But I knew every Tuesday in the middle of July that some Royal was tipping his cap. I knew it wasn't starting, but I knew there'd be some guy. And one year it was Mark Redmond, shout out 2006. The next year was Gil Mesh. We had guys like Mike McDougal, Ken Harvey, Mike Sweeney, Aaron Crow, Mizzou Made. We had some Royals All-Stars that, maybe weren't always the most deserving, but I knew that Joe Buck at least once every summer would say, and for the Kansas City Royals, Mark Redmond. And that was really special. That was really cool. And so now I think the interest in the All-Star Game around Kansas City has diminished a decent amount because we're so used to that national spotlight, because of the Chiefs, and we saw it recently with the Royals having 1 million All-Stars in 2015, Eric Hosmer winning the All-Star Game MVP in 2016, that I don't know if it's as special as I looked at it back then, but make no mistake, tonight especially is very special because it's only the 7th time in franchise history they've had 4 guys tip their cap. I think that puts in perspective that, hey, maybe if you didn't watch the All-Star Game in the past couple of years, I understand. But tonight is one where you want to tune in and be like, yeah, you know what? Kansas City is on the national stage. We should be proud of these Kansas City Royals for the great first half they've had, and these 4 guys specifically because, Scott, the bottom of the Royals roster isn't the best in baseball. But the top end, like these 4 dudes are up there as far as if you put the 4 best players on every team. This is a respectable top 4, and Kansas City should give their flowers to Salvi, Bobby, Seth, and Cole.
No doubt. No, it's a terrific top 4. And props to Bruce Bochy for including Cole Reagans because he was the one guy who I wasn't sure, given that he was 5-6 at the time, and a lot of people put too much stock in wins, losses. But to see all 4 guys is great. And Salvi, I hesitate to, I tread lightly here bringing this up because we don't have 45 minutes for you to make the case for Salvi as a Hall of Famer. But when I saw that this was his 9th All-Star game, 9 is a really, really big number as an American League All-Star. And there well, there you go. There are guys who I look at certain seasons that are pivotal in guys' careers for Hall of Fame resumes. I thought Buster Posey, when he came back after a couple of mediocre years, had one final season where he hit 300, drove in a ton of runs. To me, that cemented Buster Posey as a Hall of Famer. I think Chris Sale this year was a maybe, probably, kind of borderline Hall of Famer before this season because he had a great run, but it was a short run, and it was injury, and he was off the map for 2.5 years. And doing what he's doing this year is arguably the best pitcher in the National League. To me, Chris Sale is now a Hall of Famer. I put him in the almost definitely in. And I could make the argument that when you start talking about 9 All-Star games for Salvador Perez, in addition to the rest of the resume and all he's done and the 250 homers and the Gold Gloves and the World Championship, I think now this is going to be another very strong argument that he belongs in Cooperstown.
Yeah, no, Scott, it's a great topic and one that I think we'll probably have more in depth over, the coming months, years, and I look forward to having that because I'm as big a Salvador Perez fan as they come. And I'm not kidding when I say he should be 10 because he was easily the best catcher in baseball in 2020, the pandemic year, when he hit 340 and hit a ton of home runs, and there wasn't an All-Star game.
Right.
He easily would have been an All-Star that year, and that's why I say 10. More so, though, Scott, I think he's got enough All-Star games now. I think when you're talking specifically about Hall of Fame, adding another playoff run to his resume, I think, is going to go a long way, because you can say that he was a bookend of 2 Royals playoff generations. You know, he was World Series MVP for this back-to-back pennant-winning team. If he can be the captain of another Royals playoff run, have some success, he doesn't need to win another World Series MVP, but if he can have some more clutch moments on the national stage, because that's one of the only things that's missing, is he has these 2 big postseason runs, but outside of that, he hasn't been in the national eye, with the exception of 2021, where he led all of baseball in home runs and RBIs, and even then, a lot of people were disrespecting Salvador Perez that year because he was in Kansas City and the Royals weren't any good. So, no, I think the All-Star game is great, and I think if he can continue playing at this level the rest of this year and 2 more years, I think he's in. But yeah, it's a great conversation to have in the future for him.
And the fourth topic we had to get to today is SEC Media Day. First of all, you know your conference is legit.
We get to get to.
You know your conference is legit when your media days are 4 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I've never seen that before. It's like media week at this point. It's not media days. So they break it up with 4 teams each day. And today, your Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz at the podium. It was vintage Eli. Great soundbite, great speaker. We did see Brady Cook do a side interview with my guy Dari Noka, and Brady was really in high spirits. You can tell the difference from a year ago at this time, when there were a lot of Brady Cook doubters, and he was going through some hard times, I think, in terms of, you know, people not being on the Brady Cook bandwagon as the starting quarterback at Missouri. And now he is an unquestioned hero. He's coming off a top 10 season. He's coming off 11 wins and a bowl game, and another preseason top 15 ranking is coming down the pike in the next couple of weeks. So it was fun, even as a non-Mizzou alum, it was fun to see Brady Cook in this environment really soaking it all in, and I think he's primed for another big year.
Yeah, and Scott, I've not, up here been with the Chiefs in St. Joe, I've not heard or seen anything from SEC Media Days, with the exception of one tweet where Eli Drinkwitz said Missouri wants to, continue to elevate the brand to be more than just the school that Brad Pitt and Shania Twain went to. and I think that's fair. Shout out Mizzou alums, Brad Pitt, Shania Twain. And he said, we want to be known for a great education, and as someone who's paid a lot of money to be educated by the school of Missouri, I think that's a good goal. And then he said, be known for a football powerhouse program that represents the entire state, and that's what they do, Scott, because they represent Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, and they've really recruited well out of both Kansas City and St. Louis. Brady Cook, you mentioned, is a St. Louis guy, Luther Burden from East St. Louis, and now they have a ton of guys from Kansas City, specifically the Lee Summit area, that are staying in state, and that speaks to their program there right now. It's cool to go to Mizzou, Scott. It's cool because they're winning. Mizzou, out of our 3 local schools, has the biggest fan base, both as far as like attendance-wise, but also Kansas City footprint. And when you see Mizzou at its best, like they have been, especially in the SEC, their ceiling is so high because of the SEC, where this year, Scott, if they only lose 2 games in the SEC with this college football playoff, I think they're making the college football playoff, and that's something that is not common territory in these parts up until this year, where I think it's also a legitimate possibility for Kansas State, and to a degree Kansas as well. So no, I think Mizzou rightfully so is in the spotlight. They should be confident because what they accomplished last year was really, really special. They had a lot of people doubting them. Brady Cook absolutely doubted, but Eli Drinkwitz as well. I mean, a lot of people thought when they gave him that contract extension the year before, what are you doing? And he's gone out and proved a lot of people wrong with that season last year. So I'm very excited to see how they build on last year, right? Because they had a lot of impressive wins, and their only 2 losses, they should have beat LSU, and they could have beaten Georgia, and they were that close to having an even more special season. They've got a lot of the guys coming back. They've been amazing in the transfer portal and in the high school recruiting ranks. Scott, I think there's a lot of excitement around this Mizzou football program right now, and rightfully so.
And it's only going to build as we get into September and October, because as I recall from the schedule, they open up and play Murray State for like 6 straight games before they play anybody legit in the SEC. So that's going to be fun.
No, they got to go to Texas A&M in week 5. But yes, the first 4. But that's why the Texas A&M game is so pivotal.
Right.
Because if they can win that, then I think their margin for error really increases. Then it doesn't really matter if you lose at Alabama or even at home against Oklahoma. So, yeah, that's what's nice. They have an easy schedule out of the gates. What's crazy is when you look at these schedules, Scott, it's going to take a little time to get used to the SEC Big 12. KU has like the cupcake of cupcake schedules. I couldn't believe it. And their win-loss total is at 8 games.
Yeah,
I'm hammering that over. And that is part of the reason why. And Kansas State has a tougher schedule, but they don't play Utah. When you take Texas and Oklahoma out of KU and K-State's schedule,
well, yeah,
I think Mizzou has the toughest schedule of the 3. But it's like by SEC standards, I don't think Mizzou has a tough schedule. It's why I've said on the record on K-5 Air on Saturday's show with Neil Jones, I think if Mizzou can win any of at College Station, at Alabama, home against Oklahoma, just win one of those 3, I think they're in the college football playoff. And the winner of the Sunflower Showdown, Kansas State versus Kansas, I think they're in the college football playoff. Scott, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
No doubt. And you know what? This is what happens when you have so many teams in these conferences. It's going to be these massively unbalanced schedules. There are going to be some years where you're like, whoa, this is going to be a real gauntlet. And there are some years where it's like, hey, you know what? If we win like these 2 key games, we're where we want to be. So, they still play the games.
We get Kansas and Missouri up against each other, so it'll be tougher the following year. This year we don't have Mizzou, Kansas State like we've had the last 2 years, and after that we'll have the Border Wars. So this is an important year for I think all 3 of these programs to take advantage of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, man, it's football season, as I can tell going on behind you. So. This is day 1 of, I can't do the math quickly on how many days of Chief season there are going to be, but it's going to be a lot. So pace yourself. We'll be back out there tomorrow.
Is the parade,
yeah, I still can't do the math of how many days that is. But in today, no, I was going to say it's not July 13th. So, God, that's like 7 months, 8 months. It's absurd. It's football season. When you win a Super Bowl every year, football season's really long, man.
It is, and that's what's great because you have something, this city has something to look forward to unite behind every day now. It's something this whole city is going to be talking about. Oh, it fires me up. I love it. It's why I love baseball, because there's something every day. When you're winning, boy, you got to look forward to the next day. When you're losing, you can say, we can go get them the next day. It's the same with Chief season, that it is a constant cycle. Even the offseason isn't really an offseason, and I'm fired up, Scott.
All right, man. Well, look, good time talking to you. Enjoy the drive back, and we will reconvene tomorrow for another exhilarating edition of KC Sports Tonight. And tell Neil to, take his time with that cheeseburger. Don't choke it down too much. It's not good for you.
That's fair. Yeah. James Shields, salute. Thanks, Scott.
All right, see you, bud.